sanity dies under their grasp, so meek and so tamed. The pills I'm given keep my madness restrained. Steps of oppression ring through these halls. I'm locked in the silence behind these walls. Voices of the broken still echo inside. Prayers for a hope that is so hard to find. This gentle illusion shrouds my lost soul, hiding the truth that I can't control. Whispers of legends take root in my mind, embraced by the shadows where dreams intertwine. The cruel world fades as the visions take hold. Delusions and fantasies, stories untold. I close my eyes, let the dream world unfold. In the grip of the mystic, my spirit is bold. In the heart of the forest where spirits still dwell, a fair nymph is wandering, casting her spell. Werewolves are howling in moon's silver light. Heartbeats soar high, then fade into night. The magic is ancient, so dark and sublime. Echoes of power untouched by time. And in this mystic realm where fantasies rise, I wander through visions and long-lost disguise. This gentle illusion shrouds my lost soul, hiding the truth that I can't control. Whispers of legends take root in my mind, embraced by the shadows where dreams intertwine. The cruel world fades as the visions take hold. Delusions and fantasies, stories untold. I close my eyes, let the dream world unfold. In the grip of the mystic, my spirit is bold. The doctors with needles still search for a cure, hoping to cleanse what they cannot be sure. Trapped in these walls, a slave to my mind, the veil of illusion forever entwined. As the night ascends, the visions remain. Memories linger like ghosts in my brain. These walls are a prison, but someday I'll see. Through cracks in the real, I'll finally break free. Shrouded in loneliness, my heart turns to frost. Like leaves in the wind, my fate has been tossed. Caught between worlds, reality is lost. Under this veil of illusion, my soul is the cause. This gentle illusion shrouds my lost soul, hiding the truth that I can't control. Whispers of legends take root in my mind, embraced by the shadows where dreams intertwine. The cruel world fades as the visions take hold. Delusions and fantasies, stories untold. I close my eyes, let the dream world unfold. In the grip of the mystic, my spirit is bold.
Welcome to the Posthuman Podcast, Season 4. I'm your host, Dr. Timothy K. Turner. Today's guest and the first of the season. You may have seen him in movies such as Spencer Confidential, SWAT, Speed, Jurassic World, Dallas Buyers Club, Catch Me If You Can. Believe me, there is many more, folks. You'll also have seen him in hit shows such as American Sports Story, Stranger Things, NCIS, Grey's Grey's Anatomy. That's the first mess up already of the season. Two seasons of American Horror Story. and also one of my favourite shows, The Righteous Gemstones. Here today to talk about his upcoming release of Unit 234, the very talented James Dumont. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it, man. Glad to be here.
Thank you. You'll have to excuse that extremely long. I mean, again, what I've read, you've been in.
Yeah, bro.
Again, I've got multiple notes. You've been in 154 different things.
Yes. So we have lots to choose from and lots to talk about.
Absolutely. The first, I've got to talk about it just because it is my favorite show, and it's the Righteous Gemstones.
Dude, I love that you love the Righteous Gem. Like it's a very specific taste, but it is so much fun. I've had the last 6 years, and myself and my son are on the show too.
Oh, cool.
My son plays Ponch's gemstone, the angry middle son with the face.
Wow, with a tattoo.
That's my son.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the last 6 years we've had, obviously we stopped for COVID and we stopped for the 2 strikes, that back to back. And so, the 6 years, but we got 4 seasons in and we got 2 more episodes before the season's done. So, it's good. And my son's got some good stuff, I know, in the next episode. And I think even on the last one too. So it's been an incredible experience. And like I'll say, if anybody ever has an opportunity to work with Danny McBride, there's no better. Like I've worked with, as you said, 150 credits and multiple episodes, multiple directors, multiple shows, and there's just no better set. He just sets a really great tone. He's super funny. He's one of the nicest guys in the world, and he's just when you have somebody who's like running a show that sets an environment of kind of like family and welcoming and it just brings out the best work in everybody. And that's really what you see is like, not only does he pick, like, I think some of the most talented and funniest people that I've ever worked with, but I mean, like they're also just some of the nicest people and the kindest people. So it's kind of like, it's very interesting how, depending on the kind of showrunner you are and the kind of producer you are and the kind of creator that you are, you draw certain people your way. Well, Danny McBride just draws great talent and really good people.
I mean, I've been a fan of his for years.
Yeah.
I mean, since the Fistfoot Way, and then obviously Eastbound and Down was what I first, saw him in alongside. Fucking hell, I forgot
with him, it's just Eastbound and Down, then Vice Principals. He's just
another
end of the world, like within the movie stuff, like he's just he is a force, but one of the kindest and most talented, like he can be in this. Only a few people have done this before. I've worked with Ray Romano. I was recurring on Men of a Certain Age, and because Ray's had so much incredible amount of stand-up experience, he has the duality of like being present with you and then kind of knowing how to look at a scene. So, other than Ray Romano, it's like Danny McBride can be in the scene, and I mean fully committed in the scene with you, and also direct the scene. You know what I mean? It's like same thing with like Jody Hill, who's also one of the Goon Squad guys. He's like, we're all Danny's henchmen. So like, Jody directs episodes and then he's in the episode. So it's like, it takes a very, very advanced skill to be able to be present and in the scene with you. And then also really look at like how to get the most out of the scene in terms of a director. It's just, these guys are incredible. And David Gordon Green, another amazing director, funniest dude. I mean, like we have the greatest time, like I always say to people, it's like, I can't believe I'm getting paid to keep a straight face. I'm really getting paid so I don't break. And people are saying the most outrageous, like, Edie Patterson and Tony. It's like people are doing some of the funniest things and you're just working so incredibly hard to not break. So that's the goal. It's like a prank, like we're getting paid to like keep a straight face amongst the craziest stuff that goes down. But it's great.
There's certain things about the Gemstones as well, because no one's really done a thing about like a mega church family,
right.
And I can't imagine anyone else that would have taken that role. And with John Goodman as well, it's just an absolute smash of a cast, and the way it comes together. And every season's completely different as well. It's, Eric Andre played the Texan, and Again,
We had Eric Andre, had Eric Roberts come in. I mean, we've had incredible guest stars that come through this season. We have Megan Mullally, which is really amazing. So, and so it's one of those things where, yeah, talent draws other talent, and good people draw other good people. It's just, for all the things that people look at our business and the negativity and the pettiness or the gossip and this is the polar opposite of all that. It's an incredible, like every time I go to set, I feel like I'm coming home for Thanksgiving. Like it's this welcome, come to the table and eat as much as you want and enjoy and then go home.
I always find it funny that a lot of podcasters and even comedians are like, comedy's dead. There ain't really many comedy shows off, but there is a lot of good stuff if you just watch.
Yep.
And Gemstone's been a few years now, and I think it's ending this season. I think.
Yeah, this is it. This is our last season, so we're going out with a bang, literally.
I'm
So
gutted
it's
that it's ending.
good one.
It's
Yeah,
absolutely
I
gutted.
know. Well, they're talking about. There's been conversations or like rumors or teasing us a little bit of like, well, what about a Gemstone movie, like an HBO movie, or Gemstone specials, like a very Gemstone Christmas, or Gemstone's Easter special, like I just feel like we could probably do some one-offs.
It's probably one of the only few, because obviously you get the occasional thing built inside it, like the story with the kids and stuff.
Yeah,
and then obviously, in this later season, spoiler alert, but at the start, with the introduction of the gold
you could do a Baby
Bible,
Billy spin-off. You could do a spin-off on any character,
any character.
Judy.
And it would work as well. You wouldn't hate on it like most other shows where you could take a side character and it sometimes works for like half a season or gets cancelled.
Right.
But you could take any character, or any, if you took Kelvin himself and anything, like he was doing with the God Squad, and that in itself is a whole different show, with the muscle men and.
Absolutely. No, I always say to people, I'm like, watch it all the way through and then go back and then pick a character, like pick your favorite character and then just watch that character every episode. Cause there's these actors are brilliant. The subtlety of the little things they do. And our editors are so quick to kind of find the best, the gold of stuff. It's super fun. We've been having a great time.
I mean, even the little story arc in season 4 with the monkey, like just to bring that sort of into, I'm not going to give too much away because it's a spoiler of that. But obviously, that in itself is just where
Oh yeah,
and
Dr. Watson,
and it also coincides with the film coming out, the Stephen King film about
that's right,
the monkey too, which is so you also have to go. This is kind of strange, but it's completely makes you think.
Absolutely,
makes you think. So obviously, you've been on so many things. One of the obscure shows that I didn't mention during the list was Home Improvement.
Yes.
That's one of my all-time favorite children's shows, Tim Allen, and I used to love that. What was it like working on that?
That was great. It was one of those things where I had kind of got caught in this little run for a bit on a whole bunch of comedy shows when I first moved to Los Angeles, because I was in New York before that. I'm originally from Chicago, and then I was raised in Chicago and New York back and forth. And when I moved from New York to Los Angeles, I had done a Broadway play called 6 Degrees of Separation. And that moved to Los Angeles and then went on the road for like 9 months. So when I came back to LA, the first jobs that I was getting were sitcoms, were half hour, because I was coming from the theater. So they were like, oh, these are live shows, and that was one of the first shows. The first show I got actually was the George Carlin show, which didn't exist.
Going to mention
on a brand new network called Fox. The only other thing that was on Fox was some cartoon that I never thought would have, any traction, something called The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then there was this other thing, Tracy Ullman had the Tracy Ullman show, so Tracy Takes On. So it was like, so I kind of got caught in this great, and I mean caught in a good way of like catching work. Is I just started doing all these sitcoms, and Home Improvement was one of those. And I was a fan of the show. I know Tim Allen's stand up, and and I had this great little co-star cameo where I was asking the girls about their tool time calendar and when's the calendar going to come out. I'm like just a kind of a creepy dude creeping on the, Yeah, and then I went on I went on a tear of a whole bunch of other stuff. I did another one called Can't Hurry Love that had Mariska Hargitay in it, and Mariska Hargitay from the Law and Order, franchise now. And I played like a bookie priest on that, where I was just like a priest that had a gambling addiction. It was like, and I just had a slew of these great little just cameo roles in co-star stuff on TV, and it was great. It was just it would kind of gave me with the George Carlin show. It was like I was a huge and still am to this day. Even he's passed, but
Yeah.
he was so ahead of his time. That whole little thing there's on YouTube if you ever get to watch it. It's called the Big Club.
Yeah.
And he did it back in 1990, like or 92 when Bush was in office, and like everything he's talking about is as if it was just yesterday. That's how brilliant that guy was. And this was the first time he was doing a sitcom. Not so much happy about it. Fox was a new network, but he had this guy, Sam Simon, who was also the executive producer of The Simpsons. Sam was the showrunner on the thing. And it was an incredible opportunity to kind of work with George through it. And it was enjoyable. So that was my first sitcom. Then I did a whole bunch of pilots that kind of didn't go anywhere. But one of them was directed by James Burrows, who's one of the most famous sitcom directors. Had done Friends, had done, Cheers. I mean, he's just a master. So I had this great little kind of run. And then I got pulled into a whole bunch of dramas for like a long, long time because the sitcoms kind of switched over to comedians and sketch comedy people, and I always thought it was funny.
Would this have been like the early sort of late 90s, early 2000s?
Late 90s,
sort of,
early 2000s in there was like, actors. It wasn't actors who were funny. It was comedians who could act, or sketch comedy guys that could do character work. And so same thing happened for commercials too. And so then I kind of got into like a drama rut I got into a drama run for a bit. But what was interesting is if I look at the dramas, I'm playing a comical character in the drama. You know what I mean? So it's like, even in Grey's Anatomy, it was like, I went into a coma. I was the yellow man. The chief of staff cut the bile duct on me, and I turned all yellow. And so I was like in a coma where I was just yellow. And then when I came out, I was like, wow, I haven't slept like that in years. And, so, and then I did an episode of House where I was a guy that had sympathetic pregnancy. My wife was pregnant. And so I had like man boobs, and they actually they went out and did a whole prosthetic of like real breasts. And so I kind of showed, like I showed them on TV. It was pretty hilarious. So like, even those were drama shows, I would be kind of the comic relief on a drama show. So it's like, as much as I, went into, same thing with film, is like I kind of went a whole bunch of dramas. And then for Gemstones, it's just like a breath of fresh air to kind of like, yeah, I'm funny. Like I'm, folks, I know that you've seen me in Dallas Buyers Club, and I'm the asshole dad that, abandons his transgender son, or I'm the racist in, the banker, or I'm a mob guy, asshole in, Spencer Confidential, so it's like, I kind of got caught in that bureaucratic asshole phase of my career. And, now I'm kind of like, because of Gemstones, I think now I'm starting to be looked at. Now I'm reading for comedy shows again, and I couldn't be happier,
Would you prefer to go down the comedy route then fully, or
yeah? I mean, like, I wouldn't go so far as, I think there was a time when I was in college and I, drank too much and decided to do open mic stand-up, which I would never do again. I think there's a dream in my head of like to do two things. I think doing stand-up and doing a set that's really strong. I would never want to do it unless it was like bulletproof.
Already done,
like,
honed, and
yeah. Like, it's got to be so good, and it's got to be like crafted out, like I craft out my auditions, or how I craft out on-camera work in terms of film and television. But that would be one thing. And then a Broadway musical, man. There's something about being able to do. A friend of mine just did Swept Away, which was on Broadway for just too short of a run. And he's like, it was 4 years of his life, and I was like, dude, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't
like,
know. I'll have to write that one down.
Yeah, I want to
What
do,
is it,
called
Away?
Swept Away. Hopefully, maybe it'll come to London. I would hope it does.
Yeah,
But
I mean, the one thing I want to go and see at the minute, I only just again randomly come on a trailer the other day, which was the Stranger Things. They've
oh
got like
yeah,
a Broadway show of that.
yeah,
Obviously,
it started in London. They
loosely
started
based.
it in the West End. My son was actually up for it for the production in the West End and in New York. He read for multiple characters multiple times. So I knew that they started in the West End and they just came to the States. Um, Also, I literally just finished seeing A Portrait of Dorian Gray with Sarah Snook. Holy moly, that was amazing. Um, and then I'm going to go see Othello when I'm back in New York because I teach at NYU periodically. I
Okay.
teach people on camera work at NYU, but also privately in classes in New York. And so I'll be going back to New York in the middle of May. I have to go to LA for Unit 234, which is coming out on May 9th, which will be a week from this Friday. And so May 9th, it will be released in 5 theaters in the States. And then immediately it goes to VOD. It's been playing overseas. I don't think it's been playing in London yet, but I think it will as of March 9th.
Okay.
And that's a cool film that I did opposite Don Johnson. We shot in Grand Cayman Island, which was, if you're going to shoot in a place, that's the place to do it. It was gorgeous. We did a lot of night shoots. So I had the days free to, I don't know, learn how to scuba dive, walk up and down the beach. It was like paid vacation. And I play a character called Leon, who is like a bodyguard and henchman for Don Johnson. And
Okay.
so I'm in all the scenes with Don. I'm his driver. I'm his enforcer. I kick some ass, and it's pretty fun. It's a great thriller. It's written by a guy named Derek Steiner, and it's directed by Andy Tennant, who directed Sweet Home Alabama.
I was
It's
going to
really
get
he's a
get
he
onto
also
that as well.
yeah he's also a director of and showrunner for The Bookie, which is on HBO. So um,
I mean, because obviously, I know some of the things he's directed. A lot of that was like rom-coms as well, like tons
Yeah,
of
yeah,
sort
but
of.
he's not, which is great. It's like this is a thriller, but I mean, he's just a fantastic. I mean, a good director's a good director. Genre.
Obviously Hitch as well, and Fool's Gold.
Yeah,
Fool's Gold,
Hitch
which
is
is
another one.
an
Yeah,
amazing film.
Andy's just a solid director and a wonderful person, a joy to work with. I just I'm excited to actually see him when I go to LA because I haven't seen him since we shot. So, and that was 3 years ago this month.
So how do you sort of get prepared for roles then? What sort of do you have
I
sort of
think the
a
thing is,
method to it, or?
yeah. Oh, there's definitely a method to it. For example, today, just before this, I had a 4-scene, 7-page audition that I have to now do the slates for it and then edit it when we're done and then submit that. So yeah, for me, I prepare because I audition still. There was a time where half the things I got were offers, and then the other half I was self-taping. Or before COVID, it was going in live, which was always exciting and thrilling. It's like doing live theater. And so yeah, I prepare. I mean, the way you perform, how you prepare. If you underperform, you underprepare, and if you over prepare to the point where you're not hearing it for the first time, or you're not you have a certain way everybody is supposed to work, that's an over preparation that doesn't serve the media. And what's interesting about that is that I did lots of theater. I did like 200 plays, in my time period, and some of those were readings, some of those were like short, some of them were longer, shows. I ran a show for 6 months. 6 Degrees was on Broadway for 2.5 years collectively between the tour and on Broadway. And I think one of the things I learned that was really interesting is all the preparation work that you do. You plug all that stuff in, and then when you break the footlights, when you get out on that stage, there's this magic thing that happens between you and the audience. I call it the great unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. There's times when I'm off stage, even for shows that I've been in run for a long run, and I'm right at the edge of the stage before I'm about to go on, and I have no idea what the first line of dialogue is. I am clueless, but there's something about stepping out on that stage and it's there. And I find that I found the same kind of magic for that within self-taping and within shooting on film and television, is that each person independently does their own kind of preparation, and everybody has a particular job to do. And then when you get in there, it's this massive collaboration that happens. And I don't necessarily know how it's going to go. And most of the time when I'm auditioning, I'm booked off of my self tape. In fact, that's why I focus on in August, I will have been teaching for 10 years and coaching. I do self taping as something I'm a specialist in. I've booked well over $1 million worth of work off of just self tapes alone. So oftentimes I don't get to meet the people I'm working with, even if people I'm in the scene with for sure, but I don't even get to meet with my director to give me notes or adjustment. So I'm walking into an entirely fresh new situation with whatever preparation I have. And, the next movie I have coming out is this movie called Blood of Man, opposite Mel Gibson. I have 11 scenes with paragraphs of dialogue opposite Mel Gibson. That was like the hardest thing that I've had to do in a long, long time. And I felt myself even then trying to prepare. I still felt underprepared for what was all ahead, because when I got on set, I thought I'm going to be using the river and the things that I'm talking about. I'm right there and like, oh, we can't use the river. So here we are in this location and I can't use any of the things that are there. But because I've auditioned, I didn't audition for this. It was a straight offer. Offer to work opposite Mel Gibson. That's like a joy of joy. Let's just take a moment. Let's just take a moment and think about that for a second. Wait a minute. Straight out offer, based on my work. And when I got in there, man, it was super challenging, because a lot of the expository dialogue that I have, or plot dialogue, was tied to physical things of where I'm the scene. I'm a sheriff and I'm talking about a crime scene. And it's like, well, there's all the stuff that's there in order to help me. And they're like, yeah, we can't use any of it. I was just like, because of the budget nature of it, they couldn't, well, then we'd have to see the body, and I don't want to do that. And I was like, so I couldn't even use as much of the environment that I wanted to use in order to help me visualize what's going on.
So even then,
go ahead.
So even then, that's a total more mental, preparation that you'd have to do compared to the physical side of it. I mean, obviously you have to do the both, but obviously if you've got to then almost act like there's a green screen going on.
That's right.
But there
right.
isn't.
Right, but I have to pretend like that's all right there, which it's not. You know what I mean? And that's what I do at home in the coverage of my home for these self-tapes. So you see how that skill of, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the camera, and it doesn't matter whether you're there or not, you still have to be able to kind of visualize. And this is the thing I focus on when I'm teaching, is helping actors take these words that are on a page and visually tell the story. Just memorizing lines or memorizing words, it's not enough. It's not competitive enough, I can tell you that. So being able to kind of see and visualize, like the thing I shot today was like, it was a really powerful, the images were powerful. And then in the scene, there's like a radio plays this really song. And I was like, I know exactly the song to put, because he says he loves this song, and they didn't tell me what song it is. I picked a song that's like about loss and loving. And I'm like, I'm deeply emotionally feeling it, and there's nobody there. You know what I mean? Like I'm acting off of a light, And so when you kind of train yourself this way, and this is why I say to everybody, it's like, always be training, whether you're doing stuff, and you could be training by watching other actors on film and television, going to see theater, like being in class. It's like, I always say, train, because it's like, you never know when that opportunity is going to come your way. And what breaks my heart, and I've seen it happen more as of late, is actors that are getting incredible opportunities, but their skill sets don't match the level of that opportunity. And so that opportunity goes away, and they get looked at in a lesser than position than they are. And even myself, I'll be brutally honest with you, man. That first day of shooting with Mel, in the middle of that, was one of the hardest challenges I've had in 40 years of doing this. And it's because a lot of the things I was saying is just story and plot for later. Just giving out information for the audience. And Mel's character's not supposed to know more than they know, and they're not supposed to make eye contact with me. So here I am, I'm acting by myself, you know. I can't work off of the objects that are there. So it was a huge challenge for me. And I did it. Like I got through it. We'll see how it edits out. We'll see how much of it stays in, you know. But yeah, so these are the things where you kind of like, you would ask about, you know, like, how do you prepare? You know, like you prepare, you start with the audition usually, but in that case, I didn't have that time. Now, hindsight, what I learned from that, which I think is helpful for everybody, you know, actors who are out there, is like, okay, so you got an offer to do this play, or you got an offer to do this reading, or you got to get your camera out. Everybody's got these cell phones now. Get your camera out, put some lights up there, shoot it, just to see where you're at and where everything's at. And man, I wish I wish I gave myself that advice, you know, when I jumped in that first day, because it was a challenge.
Do you ever
Unit
find it
4
hard to watch yourself back?
Yeah, but I feel it's like, as long as you're not hypercritical.
Right.
I think if you're looking at if you're critiquing yourself from a constructive point of view rather than a destructive point of view, that's all the difference. If you're picking on yourself to like pick on yourself and shit on yourself, that's not going to work. If you're going, let me find ways to make this stronger. My eye lines, who am I looking to? Well, what are the visual nouns that are on the page? I'm talking about a person. Well, where is that person? Are they here? Can I imagine them in the scene? I'm talking about a place. Well, what place are we in right now? Are we in an office? Where's the door? Where's the window? Are you seated or standing? You know, like, or things, objects. Like I had objects in my scene, you know, like dealing with objects and events. Oftentimes actors and characters are talking about events, whether they're in the future or events in the past. Like, relive that event, reimagine it, re-experience it. Where is it? Pick a specific point of focus. Like, there's just, for me, it's like I'm so knee deep in this, and I'm going into the third act of my career, and I still have this same childlike excitement and exuberation of wanting to just get better. You know, I'm not trying to be, I am striving to work at the levels of the Daniel Day-Lewis's and the Gary Oldmans and the Benicio del Toros and the Meryl Streeps and the Julianne Moore. Like, you know, I'm working towards that. You know, I'm striving towards it. Whether I achieve it or not, inconsequential. Doesn't matter to me.
But even then, even in that sense, you know, it's like you were saying, you know, showing up to class. You know, you're at least,
that's it, man.
You're at least showing up in that fashion that, you know, like you said, you know, you've done the scenes with Mel. Obviously, you say yourself how much could be left on the cutting floor, but even on that same, you know, level, you've still turned up, you've still put in the work. And even then, that's the training in itself, you know. And
correct.
You know, you said yourself, that's one of the hardest things you've done. So
yeah. And also, even like, you know, and for example, like Dallas Buyers Club is the kind of the movie that everybody started paying attention to. It was like, I think maybe it was like my 60th movie or something like that point. But they started to pay attention, you know, from that film. And the director, the late, great Jean-Marc Vallée, would set up this environment in order for us to thrive. You know, like we didn't have to work. We didn't have to stop and start for move lights around. The light was a general lighting plot. It was a handheld camera. The camera people were told to work around us. We were told to explore the space. He's in my office. You know, I have photographs of my real children on the mantle that he's looking at. You know what I mean? Like, there was beautiful kind of like sad French melodic music that was playing just before we shot, and he like faded the music down, and then the scene kind of happened, you know, and it just was like, you know, so setting yourself up for an incredible experience, you know. And then I made a choice that I wouldn't talk to Jared Leto as an actor. I saw him in the trailer putting all the pox on his face because he had AIDS. And I chose not to speak to him other than through character in the scene until we were on our 60th take, when everybody's crying by the monitor. And, you know, we've said we've improv'd all these awful things and wonderful things to each other. And then he reaches across, he's like, "Who are you?" I was like, "I'm Jared." I was like, "That was incredible." I said, "Yeah, we had an incredible." And then from that incredible experience, you know, they walked away with 3 out of 6 Oscars that year. Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto won everything they were nominated for. Everything.
Again, it's one of those films where, I mean, the body of work, some of the stuff you've been in, there's incredible, mega tsunami films that you just go, these are masterpieces.
Thank you.
Dallas Buyers Club, another one of those. It's some of the most tremendous work from everyone in that film.
Every person, even the small, every role in that thing is like massively well done. Yeah, it's one of those things where, my son was going, "Hey, dude, you could take a bow, man. If you stopped right now, you could be very happy." I was like, "I'm not done, bro. I'm not done. Relax, babe. I'm not feet up. I'm not retiring." He goes, "Yeah, but you should be very." I was like, "I'm very proud." And I think this is the fun part. I have a brand new manager that I brought in that I'm really excited about. And we're, when I hang up from you, that's I'm going to have a conversation with her about, the things that we want to do together, and how we build my career in the third act and my son's career in the beginning, coming out of college, so it's like, it's a good time. It's a good time right now, as much as people are really freaking out about the constriction of the business, the changing of it, freaking out about AI, a lot of work. I'm sure you've figured out a lot of work has gone overseas. So, I mean, this too shall pass. It's all gonna work out.
I mean, there's some really strange stuff. I mean, I've seen an advert in the UK the other day. It might not have even been. It might be all over, but it was for some Lynx deodorant. I don't know if you have that in the States, Lynx. And it had the two women. I'm not bothered, but for some reason they had a dog. And they could have gone and it basically, like, the woman sniffs her, they sort of embrace, they introduce a dog, and then they're sat on a wall about to kiss, and for no reason whatsoever, the dog then turns into a person in a furry costume, and you can see physically changes into one and pushes the person. You can see hand, like, and you're like, why didn't you just use the AI or even CGI than a person in what obviously is a furry's costume, or you see them fake dog people, and it's like,
right
there's so many moves you could have gone, and I go, bit odd,
Look, you're the next 10 years in terms of entertainment and content. It's going to be,
I mean, it's entertaining.
It's going to be very, not maybe the next 5 years, but I feel like between the next 5 and 10 years, we're going to be seeing lots of interesting things,
I mean,
one of the things. Go ahead.
No, go on, Karen. Sorry.
Yeah, one of the things that was interesting to me is that when I was in New York, I saw a Portrait of Dorian Gray with Sarah Snook from Succession, and it was a live theater performance. However, there was a camera crew that followed her and shot things, and it went on her phone, and it was on a screen in the center stage. It was a multimedia and live theater all in one. So it was film, and it was TV, and it was like on your phone. Like it was, and I was like, wow, I've never seen this before. And I feel like that's what we're going to be seeing more of, is this incorporation or amalgamation of live and technology. I mean, can somebody do something live on stage and it turn into an AI? Absolutely.
Oh,
that's
easily.
just a matter. That's going to happen. Like, people are going to be doing that. And the real question is, and this is where people kind of get a little freaked out, is like, does the audience really care that it's a human being or AI? And if you look at the younger audience that's been raised on virtual reality already and video games, does it really matter that it's not a human being?
Yeah.
I think certain stories, guaranteed, got to be a human being. But I think certain things, not so much.
No, I mean, it's true. It's just how well done it is. It's like the recent Minecraft movie looks phenomenal, but when that random pirated pre-CGI version somehow came out, you go, man, this looks horrendous. But you go, obviously, you watch it in the cinema, it's beautiful. And you go, it's kind of strange how, that's one of the few times, actually, you get to see something like that in modern day, where you see all pre-renderings, and you go, especially shot alongside the actors.
Yes.
Which is also very odd to see them, and then like huge, just blue, cubist, very odd stuff.
Love it.
So
Yeah, we're for me, we're at an interesting time, man. I think this is I think this is a good and interesting time in our world. I really do. I know people kind of are freaking out about change. I feel like artists adapt, and unfortunately the hard thing is you adapt or die. Like either you kind of adapt to the new thing or you're out. Or I'm now starting to really trying to figure out what I want to do back in the theater again. I need to get back on the stage. I have not been in the play. I had a one-man show that I did about being a DJ because I was a DJ in New York during the 80s. And I'm thinking about dusting off that piece. 20 years later, I'm like, do I still got it? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can I still be doing this thing, 20 years later? And I got the energy. I'm ready to go, so I'm interested to see what the next thing is, but I feel like I know that everybody's kind of worried about kind of changes or triggering reacted to stuff, but as storytellers and creatives, it's really our job to, as Shakespeare said, to hold his tour a mirror to nature, show people why we were here and what happened while we were here. And that's all I only have this finite amount of time here, and my work will live on, but the real question is like, what do I want that to look like?
Well, I mean, you've got
And
a huge.
that's what I'm playing around with right now.
You've got a huge body of work though as well. It's not just some. You can get a couple of background actors or extras, and that's there's some who go hit and miss, but some huge career. It's a huge body of work rather than just this and that. I mean, it's like in the UK we have like soaps, and there's just the one person that's been in it forever, and then
they'll never leave.
They'll never leave, but then they'll come back, maybe do like an odd like Dancing with the Stars or something like that, but then they always go back, and it's like, but that's their body of work is just one huge thing,
right?
But it's kind of, it's very strange,
I think that's one of the things where I'm just very, very. I have an attitude of gratitude, and I'm extremely appreciative. The fact that I still get to do this, like that somebody's calling to say, hey, bring this dad. Like that's what I did today. It was a dad. I was like, bring this dad to life. Bring this guy to, and it's got this element of me and this element of me, and how I was nailed that Mel Gibson movie was like, the guy was like, well, there's three different actors that could play the different elements of this role. But you're the one actor that could do all of these three things in one body. He goes, and that's why I'm calling. And so there's something about building that. I think there was a time where my ego wanted people to see me and recognize me, and I wanted to be famous and I wanted to be acknowledged, And when people do that now, I get really, really self-conscious. I like even turn red talking about it. I go, that I don't need my ego fed that way, but there's that part of you. It's like you chase it so much, and then when you finally get it, it's like I said to somebody the other day. I said, I just want to do a role in a movie or TV show that I don't have to explain to somebody who I was. Like they should know exactly who I was.
Right.
But because and I don't consider myself a character actor because I feel like that's a kind of a cop-out in a way, meaning real actors play all characters. If you look at an actor doing repertory theater at any theater company, he plays all these different roles, or she plays all these different roles in a given year. So the fact that I get thrown in the character actor thing is because I'm not a leading man or I'm not a clown, like I'm kind of, I can mold into these different roles, but I feel like that the fun part is actually now is in the anonymity of like not people recognizing who I am is actually a good thing. Like I get that guy. Aren't you that guy? Hey, aren't you my kid's soccer coach? I'm like, no. Didn't we go to this conference together? I was like, no. Hey man, do you remember that bachelor party? I was like, no, that was definitely not me. I've only been to a half a dozen in my life. And so So I get that guy recognition thing. And in fact, I created this pilot that I got to get back to called That Guy, because it's that whole thing of like being between somebody and nobody is that guy.
Just that
You know what I
guy,
mean?
yeah.
Like, and so some people are, as you pointed out before, like with the soap opera, some people are known like, oh, that's the guy that does the soap opera. And we want that. And we don't ever want it to change because we like them as they are. And that's a blessing and a curse in a way, because it's a blessing that you get consistent work. You have audiences who love what you're doing, but they just want you to stay in that. Don't go out of your zone there. Don't try to do, you know, don't try Will Ferrell. Don't try to do a heavy comedy, a heavy drama. Don't do it. We're not interested, you know? So, in that regard, I feel very fortunate that I've been able to kind of very sneak through like this role and that, like even Unit 234. I don't think I've ever played a bald driver enforcer. I've never played the muscle, you know?
Right.
And I got a lot more fat on my body than muscle, but I'm the muscle. So, because I got a gun, so it doesn't matter. Like as long as I can move, agility, and like if I could take you out, it doesn't matter. So the joy for me is like, and this role, and then the sheriff, like a really big supporting lead opposite Mel Gibson. Like I'm moving into the supporting lead kind of phase of my career, and I was having that before with Trumbo and with Dallas Buyers Club and The Banker. These others movies where Spencer Confidential or Dallas or Deepwater Horizon.
I was going to mention that as well.
Deepwater, between Deepwater, Deepwater Horizon and Spencer Confidential, those are two totally different people.
Yeah.
But they're in a lot of scenes. They're the leads in a lot of movies. So, yeah, this is a fun, interesting time. I want to see where we go. See what's next.
Who's some of your favorite performances of all time?
In terms of with them, or as an act, like as an audience,
as an audience, and even with either.
Yeah, literally, dude, the Lorraine Bracco and thinking of I've seen it millions of different times, and I'm blank. I can't believe I'm Goodfellas.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ray Liotta's work in Goodfellas, like Joe Pesci's work in Goodfellas, De Niro's work in, like, for me, the performances that are like, and even more, the last one was with De Niro and Pacino, and Joe Pesci in there, is that they were I can't remember. I actually auditioned for it, and I can't remember the title. But the point was,
well.
the
Irishman, isn't it? The Irishman.
Irishman.
Yeah.
The subtlety in the work that Joe Pesci did in that movie, how subtle he was, that's a performance. The performances that I'm usually I can equate to would be like Gary Oldman, in The Professional, Gary Oldman in anything. Gary Oldman reading the phone book. I don't give a shit. Daniel Day-Lewis, Lincoln. Like we never heard what Lincoln sounded like. I think there was some sort of recording that he played, but literally that guy, My Left Foot, that guy embodies, There Will Be Blood, that guy embodies so much. So those are the kind of actors and performances that I kind of gravitate to. But yeah, Goodfellas to me is like the perfect movie that has like the most incredible performance. I could watch that thing, and I've watched it 100 times. I'd watch it all over again. My wife and I, every once in a while, would come up on HBO, and she'd coming home at 3-4 in the morning from bartending. It's like, we would just watch Goodfellas till the sun came up. We didn't care, So I feel like, and in terms of in scenes with people, yeah, I had an incredible experience with Bryan Cranston. I'll be seeing Bryan next month up at Tribeca Film Festival. And Bryan was just really like fantastic to work with. I really enjoyed, and I had all my stuff pushing with him a little bit. Jared, of course, from Dallas Buyers Club.
Have you seen Bryan Cranston in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? He does like a guest spot in that where him and I can't remember his name now. Aaron.
So it was in what in it?
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and basically they swap sort of roles and sort of.
Danny DeVito, like he and Danny DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's in it as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bryan Cranston, you know, and the other guy from Breaking Bad, they do like a guest cameo in it and basically reverse their roles, and very funny, very funny to watch. His performance in that you get because he's just playing like his bitch rather than you know, the other way around, and it's funny to watch.
Yeah, no, he's a joy. We had a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. And I'm, you know, there's a lot of interest. I have a list of actors that I've been really looking forward to working with. And I will be getting to meet De Niro for the first time of a Tribeca, so that'll be, you know, a chance to kind of just talk to him. I've come close. I was up for Goodfellas. I was up for the Spider role in Goodfellas.
Oh wow!
I was up for The Irishman, a couple of those little lawyer roles in The Irishman, and you know, when they're doing the stuff, all the court case stuff. But it was really, I'm excited to see kind of where things are going to go.
That's cool.
What's next? What's next is the big thing.
No, that's really cool. Well, listen, this has been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Obviously,
no, it's all good.
Multiple roles. Again, if you want to come back on the show at any point, feel free.
Yeah, you know, Blood of Man should be coming out pretty soon. I think they might have changed the title of it actually, but well, I'll get that figured out. But it's on my IMDb. But yeah, when that comes out, we'll have another conversation, and there's a few things that I'm up for right now as we speak. So like that, you know, if they go my way, then we'll have more to talk about.
Cool, that's absolutely perfect.
But I got tons of stories, so you're never gonna have lack of stories with me doing it so long.
No. Well, listen, where can people find you on your socials?
Yeah, social's best for me. Follow me on Instagram. It's James Dumont, Dumont. And then also, if there's actors who are really looking for help on, you know, self-tapes and coaching, I have a lot of students overseas. And so it's called On Camera Workouts. And then you could follow me on Instagram, On Camera Workouts, plural. And there's tons of videos and stuff, free videos and stuff up there. But also, like, I have a day class that most of my London, Australia, Japan, France, Italy, most of my European students kind of do my day class because I just have one day class a week. Okay. And then I teach periodically at NYU. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Perfect. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Today's guest, thank you very much, James Dumont, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
In the city between the rivers I was born, fleeing a home that was shattered and torn. I watched as the pyramids began to rise, and stood near the Red Sea when it opened wide. I saw the rise of philosophy, a world consumed by dichotomy. I watched the Romans turn to dust, echoes of glory scattered in the gust. Oh, bittersweet immortality, facing the brutality of reality. A lost soul forgotten by the end, among tales my existence blends. Witness to the cycle of life and death, craving for my dear sweet final breath. I hid with priests as the raids began. Vikings showed no mercy to woman or man. I carried bodies piled in graves, as the Black Death fed on hope's remains. I helped the people behead their king, the gap.